Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about a question that I got from one of the viewers asking whether or not Launch School is a good supplement to a computer science program. You know, the type of program you'd be doing as an undergrad in college or in grad school for a master's program or a PhD. So let's get right into this. The difference between Launch School and computer science is that from a high level, computer science is going to focus on a larger breadth of topics, but it's not going to go as in depth on the industry specific skills you need to be a software engineer, specifically things like front end and back end engineering and coding, common coding paradigms, testing, working with repositories and development teams, and overall just the workflow of a professional software engineer. In a computer science curriculum, you're going to get more into some of the fundamentals of computing, including the theoretical mathematics that underlie all of computation. So specifically, this means things like discrete mathematics and algorithms. There's not really going to be any of these coding boot camps or coding schools that go as in depth on the theoretical mathematical frameworks that underlie computation as you will in a computer science program. In fact, many computer science programs come out of mathematics departments because of all the overlap they have. You'll also see a lot of people that go and take a CS degree that end up doing a dual degree in mathematics or taking a minor in mathematics because there generally is a decent amount of math involved in a computer science curriculum. The fundamentals of computation do go into depth into mathematics. They're much more math heavy. So overall, you're going to need to have a familiarity with or a comfort level with math that's going to have to be higher by the time you get through that computer science curriculum than it would be for just a, coding boot camp or a industry focused curriculum like Launch School. Now, I will say this is not to say that, on one side you have boot camps and on one side you have Launch School, because I would actually take Launch School and put it over into the computer science curriculum side before I would group it together with coding boot camps. And hear me out. The reason I'm saying that is because Launch School's emphasis is on a long-term mastery of this material that you're learning. This is very similar to a computer science curriculum where you're going to have to develop a familiarity with this wide range of topics at an increasingly high level just by sheer repetition over that 4 years that you're studying, 4 or 5 years if you're in an undergrad curriculum here in the United States, or 2 to 5 years depending on what type of grad school curriculum you might be in. So these parts of a program like Launch School and then a computer science program at a university are very similar. You're going to be asked to go over the same overlapping material many times, get to a high level of understanding with it, and most importantly, consistently display those tendencies of a high-performing student. You're going to have the temperament of a high-performing student. You're going to have to be studious. You're going to have to learn to integrate that into your life if you want to be successful in Launch School or in a computer science curriculum. So I want to make that distinction. Now, getting that being a studious person part of the equation out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about the differences. So as I mentioned before, computer science curriculum is going to cover more topics. It's going to be a little bit more math heavy, and it's going to go a lot more into depth on the theoretical, underpinnings of computation. Like I said, specifically discrete mathematics and algorithm. But you're also going to touch generally in a, introductory computer science curriculum, or if you're taking electives in a grad school curriculum, you're usually going to touch on a lot of topics that software engineers need to know. Things like databases, networking, internet protocols like HTTP, even have courses, sometimes electives on specific parts of software engineering like developing apps, working with APIs, creating web apps. So there is an opportunity to get into some of those industry specific skills in most modern computer science programs. The difference is you're always going to have a heavier focus on the fundamental theoretical frameworks that underpin these different specific things that you're learning in a computer science curriculum. Whereas in an industry-focused curriculum like Launch School, you're not always going to be concerned with getting a fundamental understanding of the theoretical frameworks behind the types of computation you're working with. What you are going to try to get that, base level full understanding of is the syntax and use of the different programming languages you're using, as well as the theoretical programming paradigms you're using for those different languages that you're studying in. So whether that's for Launch School, whether that's Ruby or JavaScript, you want to know the underlying frameworks that software engineers use in those languages to solve different types of problems, solve different types of complex problems. This is very different from the typical computer science curriculum where you might use a specific type of problem solving approach once or twice and then move on to a completely different subject. You're really looking at what you're learning from different layers of complexity and really a just different level of the frameworks that you're working with on a computer. As many of you know, in computer science, you're basically learning a lot about how we've built computers from the ground up, meaning all the way from machine code to binary code to lower level programming languages, and then stacking some of the higher level programming languages and frameworks on top of those. You learn it from the ground up, all the way from the actual hardware that the computers are operating on. Now, in a coding boot camp or any industry focused program, even a long-term one like Launch School, you're not going to learn in depth about how these internet protocols work, how the actual hardware that a computer's operating on is working, the mathematical, theoretical frameworks behind computation. You're not going to have to know all of those different fundamental base layers of knowledge that allow us to operate on computers the way we do nowadays. You're going to kind of take that for granted and just focus on the theoretical frameworks that underlie problem solving in the computer programming languages that you're using. So you're kind of zeroing in on one level of all those layers of abstraction that allow, modern computation. You're zeroing way in on one level, which is the industrial development of software using your chosen programming language. You're really zeroing in on that and just mastering that one thing. Now, this isn't to say you can go on and explore other things once you have that basic understanding. It's just to say that a industry-focused program is going to focus all your time and energy on making you the most productive software engineer you can be, not necessarily the one that understands the most about how you can create things with the software that you're creating. You might not understand every single thing about how a computer works, but you're going to be able to solve the most complex problems with the code language that you're using. So hopefully that helps you to understand some of the differences. And now we can kind of get to directly answering the question, which is it worth taking a computer science program with Launch School or doing Launch School if you're in a computer science program? And I would definitely say that they're almost the perfect complement to one another. And the reason for that is, like I said, if you go through Launch School, you're going to be a highly productive software engineer that can produce value at a high level. You're going to be able to produce code that works. You're going to be able to help alter a code base, add to it, edit it, really do things to help a software development team. On the other hand, if you go to a computer science program, you might not have that level of ability, just fresh out of the program joining a development team, but you're going to have a really good breadth of understanding about all the topics surrounding software engineering and basically how we kind of got to this state, so how computers were built, what type of mathematics are going on behind the hardware in that computer, how is it being turned from this high level code that we're using to something that's operating on a computer, the actual hardware. So you're going to know everything else about it. Now, this could be super beneficial if you want to get into one of the adjacent industries to software engineering, or you want to develop products, or you want to understand something about some of the actual hardware that this stuff is running on, or some of the more fundamental systems that you're creating these web apps and things you're developing at a higher level on. So it definitely could help you if you're a software engineer and you want to go to a adjacent field or be able to transfer. You're going to have a better understanding of the whole ecosystem that allows modern computation. So that being said, I don't think it's necessary to have that CS background to be able to go and get a great software engineering job or be a highly prolific software engineer. But I do feel like you'll have a better appreciation for what you're doing in software engineering. And personally, in my experience with CS programs, I definitely appreciated understanding a little bit of the mathematical frameworks that underlie computation. It makes it, just something about it is really gratifying, knowing what's going on behind the scenes. So anyway, I hope this brief overview of the differences and how they might work together was helpful. Let me know if you got anything out of this, or if there's any specific topic that I talked about that you'd like me to go more in depth on. But anyway, as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to hit that like button and comment below, letting me know what you liked about this video or what else you'd like to see me go into more depth on. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime that I come out with a video. So again, thank you for watching.